Picture the Cologne of today, a bustling Rhine metropolis of over 1 million, where the Gothic spires of the Kleiner Dom Tower 157 meters high, casting shadows over modern bridges, beer halls, and the Roman Germanic Museum's glass facade. The river hums with cargo ships and tour boats, and the Altstadt pulses with shoppers and festivals. Now, strip away the medieval cathedral and contemporary steel. Rewind to the year 200 AD. That same Rhine banks a thriving Roman Colonia, Colonia Claudia Ara Agrippinensium, encircled by 8 kilometers of stone walls punctuated by 19 towers and 9 gates. Beyond the forum's marble columns, legionaries patrol, merchants hawk wares in the marketplace, and aqueducts feed steaming baths for 20,000 to 40,000 inhabitants. A frontier outpost transformed into Germania Inferior's capital. This is no remote garrison, but a vibrant city blending Roman order with Germanic edges, where emperors like Commodus once walked. How did this Ubii settlement evolve from tribal village to imperial hub? What forces shaped its streets and souls amid barbarian pressures? Let's reconstruct this Roman Cologne, structure by structure, revealing a world where the Rhine marked civilization's boundary, urban layout, and city planning as visuals transition from Cologne's modern grid of autobahns and tramlines to a reconstructed Roman plan. Observe how the city's urban layout in 200 AD embodied imperial efficiency on the Germanic frontier. Founded initially as Oppidum Ubiorum in 38 BC by Marcus Vipsanius Agrippa on the Rhine's west bank, it was elevated to Colonia status in 50 AD by Emperor Claudius at the request of his wife Agrippina, who was born there. Archaeological surveys by the Reichsgermanisches Museum and the University of Cologne confirm the layout, a rectangular grid covering about 96 hectares, oriented northwest-southeast, along the river, with the Cardo Maximus main north-south street running from the north gate Porta Principalis Dextra to the south gate, and the Decumanus Maximus east-west intersecting at the Forum. This planning followed standard Roman castrum design, but adapted for civilian growth. The walls, constructed around 90100 AD under Domitian or Trajan, and spanning 3.9 kilometers on the landward side with the Rhine as natural defense, were 2.5 meters thick and 8 meters high, built of local greywack stone and tufa. 19 semicircular towers, each 10-12 meters in diameter, fortified the circuit, as evidenced by excavations at the Eifel and Severinster sites. Gates like the Porta Jovis near modern Heumarkt featured double arches for traffic flow, accommodating the Via Belgica road linking to Xanten and Maastricht. Inside, insulae blocks measured approximately 70 by 70 meters, divided into lots for homes, shops, and public buildings. The Forum, at the intersection of the main axes now under the Domplatz, was a rectangular plaza 140 by 80 meters, surrounded by porticos and the Capitolium temple. Aqueducts from the Eifel Hills, built in the 1st century AD and extending 95 kilometers, the longest north of the Alps, supplied 20,000 cubic meters of water daily to fountains, baths, and sewers, per engineering studies in the Journal of Roman Archaeology. The Rhine harbor, with stone quays and warehouses, facilitated trade. Bridges were absent, relying on ferries. Suburbs extended beyond walls. The Agrippinensium suburbium housed potteries and villas, as pottery kilns at Bayenthal indicate. Planning was overseen by duumviri magistrates and aediles, enforcing hygiene and building codes via imperial edicts. Unlike today's organic sprawl, this layout prioritized defense and commerce, with no zoning for industry workshops integrated into residential blocks. Archaeological plans from the Landesmuseum Bonn show this rigidity preserved Roman control on the limes, transitioning seamlessly to the architecture that defined its skyline. Architecture and building materials fade modern concrete and glass into sturdy Roman stone, colonnades rise, arches frame bustling streets. In 200 AD, Cologne's architecture reflected provincial Roman grandeur, using durable materials suited to the damp Rhine climate. The Praetorium, the governor's palace on the Rhine's edge now under the Rathaus, was a massive complex built in the 1st century AD, measuring 100 by 80 meters, with hypocaust heated rooms, mosaics, and frescoes depicting mythological scenes, as fragments in the Rhine Germanisches Museum attest. Public buildings exemplified imperial style. The Capitolium temple on the Forum, dedicated to Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva, featured a podium 30 meters wide with Corinthian columns of imported marble. Baths like the Thermae Agrippinae, excavated at the Uber monument, included caldarium, tepidarium, and frigidarium with vaulted ceilings and terracotta pipes for hot air. The amphitheater, outside the walls near modern Deutz, seated 15,000 for games, built of opus cementitium Roman concrete faced with tufa blocks. Homes varied. Elite villas had atrium plans with peristyles, mosaics from local workshops using black and white tesserae, for example, the Dionysus mosaic from 200 AD, and underfloor heating. Common insulae were multi-story tenements up to 4 floors, of brick and timber framing, with ground floor tabernae shops. Building materials included local greywack and basalt for walls, tufa from the Eifel for facings, and imported Luna marble for columns. Bricks, standardized at 30 by 44 by 4 centimeters, were fired in nearby kilns. Tiles, tegulae, and imbrisses roofed structures. Sewers of stone channels drained into the Rhine. Streets were paved with basalt slabs. Temples to Mercury and Fortuna, documented in inscriptions from the Corpus Inscriptionum Latinarum Sil Z, used porphyry altars. This architecture contrasted today's steel. It symbolized Romanitas, with over 100 inscriptions attesting dedications by veterans and traders. These edifices housed a diverse populace, as we'll see. Population size and social classes populate the grid with toga-clad figures, a fraction of today's crowds. Around 200 AD, Cologne's population peaked at 20,000 to 40,000 within the walls, plus suburbs, based on housing density estimates in Anthony King's Roman Gaul and Germany 1990 and grave counts from the South Necropolis over 10,000 burials. This made it Germania Inferior's largest city, drawing from military and trade. Social classes followed Roman strata. At the top, senators and equestrians, like governors, for example, Marcus Cassianius Latinius Postumus 260-269 AD, but earlier patterns hold, residing in palatial domus. Legionary veterans, emeriti, often Ubii or Batavi, formed a middle elite, granted citizenship per the Edict of Caracalla 212 AD. Citizens cives Romani included merchants and artisans, 40-50 of the populace, living in insulae. Peregrini non-citizens, Germanic auxiliaries and traders, comprised 30-40, per epigraphic evidence of names like Flavius Ubicus, slaves servi, 1020, labored in households or workshops. As manumission inscriptions show, women had legal rights but subordinate roles. Children educated in ludus schools. Cemetery stelae from the Luxemburger Strasse reveal diversity, 60% male. Diets rich in grain and meat per isotope analysis. University of Bonn studies. Class-dictated dress. Senators in togae praetexti, commoners in tunics. Unlike modern Cologne's egalitarianism, hierarchy was rigid, enforced by census, influencing daily routines. Daily life and occupations. Streets teem. Bakers knead dough, potters turn wheels. Daily life in 200 AD centered on urban rhythms, per descriptions in Apuleius Metamorphoses to in century, reflective of provincial cities and local finds. Sunrise awakened households. Elites bathed at home. Commoners at public thermae. Breakfast. Poles porridge with olives. Occupations. Artisans in fulleries dyed wool with Rhine water. Potters produced terra sigillata in kilns, exported via Rhine. Merchants traded in the Forum. Legionaries drilled at the Praetorium. Women managed domus, weaving, or shopping. Slaves fetched water from fountains. Meals. Cena with garum-sauced fish. Wine from Mosul vineyards. Evenings. Theater capacity 10,000. Per remains at the Philharmonie or taverns. Hazards. Rhine floods, Plague's bones show tuberculosis. Life expectancy, 40 to 50 years for survivors of infancy. Community, festivals honored Capitoline triad. This routine differed from modern, integrated work and leisure, tied to empire, trade and economic activity. Forum buzzes, amphorae unloaded. Trade thrived on Rhine, per harbor digs yielding Spanish oil jars. Economy, commercial, with mint under Postumus to 60 ad, but earlier silver denarii. Exports, glass, pottery. Imports, wine, grain. Shifts, frontier stability boosted prosperity. Unlike Cologne's industry, economy was riverine. Political control and power structures. Praetorium commands. Governor issues edicts. As capital after 85 ad, governed by legatus Augusti. Structure, provincial assembly concilium met at altar of Rome and Augustus. Consequences, taxes funded legions. Religious influence. Temples smoke. Sacrifices offered. Polytheism dominated. Capitolium central. Altars to matrony. Germanic Roman fusion. Persil. Influence. Unified diverse populace. Cultural norms. Families dine. Latin spoken with Germanic accents. Norms. Roman law. Baths as social hubs. Methods of defense or warfare. Walls guard. Catapults ready. Defense. Rhine legions I Minervia. XXX Ulpia. 10,000 troops. Warfare. Against Alemanni raids. Transformation and lessons blend to present. Roman walls underlie Dom. In 200 AD, Cologne was Roman frontier city, unlike today's German hub. Barbarian invasions. 5th century ended Roman rule. Frankish kings rebuilt. Developments. Christianity. Constantine 306. Medieval growth. Perspective. Layers reveal continuity, appreciating history's foundations.